There's so much classism in academia. I've already talked about the book chapter that my friend and I wrote on working class norms clash for grad students who are starting their Ph.D. So in this video, I'm going to talk about an article written in 2017 by a working class professor on her journey through academia. And what I love about this article is she does it through storytelling, which is a very working class style, but she cites research throughout it to talk about how and her experience relates to other people's experience who are working class or how it doesn't. She calls this article The Insider Without, and this is a play on the term outsider within, which Patricia Hill Collins called herself as a Black woman in academia, that she's an outsider because she's a Black woman who was in the academy, within the academy. But since this author, Kim Case, is a white woman, she calls herself an insider without, that she is perceived as an insider because she's a white woman and she has those privileges. And she also is without knowing the middle class norms, and that she sees how that has played out throughout her career. She talks about the 3-point arc that she says has been her experience as working class faculty. 1, seeing education as the way. 2, feeling like an insider without a decoder ring. And 3, arriving at critical intersectional class consciousness. I did a video a couple weeks ago on intersectionality. It's in my Culture Frameworks playlist on my profile. So the first one, education is the way. She talks about how her parents were the first in her family to graduate high school, and she was always raised with that you need to go to college, not if, when, that is the way to stability. But then when she arrived at college, she realized how different it was culturally, and there was a lot of stigma. And not only did she have to code switch there, then she also, when she came home and was around family, had to code switch as well. And that her family didn't understand when she kept going to school and graduate school and why she hadn't finished yet, or even what a PhD really was. And that was my experience as well. My family was supportive, but they didn't know what a PhD was. And I didn't either until pretty much decided to get one. She talks about how in this phase she developed a lot of internalized classism, even about herself. In the second phase, an insider without a decoder ring, she talks about how she messed up a lot of middle class norms, that she thought she was passing, but she wasn't, and that she still, as a woman in working class, was perceived by men negatively because there's still male privilege. Again, intersectionality, there's all these things going on. And that she wasn't allowed to disagree with men or be perceived as having an opinion as a scholar. And so to do this, her working class background, to compensate for this, she was working 7 days a week for a while. And that's very common among working class people. She talks about research on how there's a need to overwork yourself to prove that you're worthy, which is very sad. She also talks about the specific types of sexism she got as a working class woman, of being told to shut her mouth because even though people would say it's because people aren't ready for a strong woman, she realized that it's because they weren't ready for someone to also be direct, and that was different than how middle class women are raised. She's, in her opinion, middle class women are raised to be perfect little ladies, working class women are not. And there's also an intersection with whiteness here, but even as a white woman being working class, she did not perceive it the same as the gentle ladylike image that is associated with middle and upper class white women. And finally, in the third, the realizing intersectional class consciousness, she got to where she realized what she'd been going through. She didn't realize through the first 2 arcs that she was dealing with this. She thought it was just sexism because what she had learned in school was all about race and gender, and it didn't talk about class. So it's realizing where she has privilege, where she's marginalized, and also realizing the strengths that her working class background brings to the table. She talks about that a working class strength is, 1, making the environment less hostile for working class students. She said if academics want students from poor backgrounds to come to school, they need to stop masking themselves. Working class faculty have to stop masking, which I'm on the fence about that because I feel like people have to, it has to also be safe for them. So I would say middle and upper class people need to stop penalizing working class faculty. And she also talks about how a working class strength is doing and not just talking, that a lot of middle class or higher peers are good with doing research for the sake of doing research and publishing. But for her, it was important to not just talk, but to also do and to have research that applies to real life. And that definitely resonates with me. And in this phase, she also had to unpack her internalized classism. So what do y'all think?